Pete Delatorre, the host and creator of the Pete Delatorre Show, and I want to welcome you to Blockchain Talk. Today, session 11, how to use tokens and coins on the blockchain technology. Today's program is brought to you by Blockchain Ecosystems, powered by CrowdPoint Technologies. As always, my co-host is Sean OBrien-Brehm, who is the co-founder and chairman of CrowdPoint Technologies. Let's sit back and let's listen to more information on the blockchain, session 11. All right, everybody, with me once again, Sean OBrien-Brehm. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. We have been on an incredible journey with already 10 sessions we've done. Today will be session 11. On the previous one, Sean, we talked about something. Well, all of this has been really, really interesting. Okay, none of them. I mean, we're getting the feedback through my YouTube channel, and the comments have been fantastic, and a lot of support, but a lot of people that I think we're helping through all of this. Last time we spoke about the buying power on the blockchain, and our topic today is now we get more into the nitty gritty, roll up our sleeves. You know, how to use, we've been talking about tokens and coins on the blockchain. Today, we're going to talk about how to use tokens and coins on the blockchain. So, Sean, let's rock and roll, baby.
Well, you know, it's interesting that the last thing that we talked about was how we actually provide real value, right,
Yep.
on the blockchain, and how we define value. And for those of you that have not watched the previous videos, I highly recommend you go back and you look at all that we've done to build to this moment, because unfortunately, a lot of people out there, I recently was updating an application for a back-end payment processing engine, and we said we were a blockchain company, and the lady goes, "Oh, we don't do cryptocurrency." I'm like, I didn't say cryptocurrency, I said blockchain.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, but you're using Bitcoin. No, ma'am, I didn't say anything about Bitcoin. I said blockchain.
Exactly.
So it's really important that if you're here, you understand what a blockchain is, because the blockchain is not about cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
The blockchain is about a distributed database where your data is stored in a million different pieces and not in a centralized database that someone else controls, sells to other people, and then can change records because it's centralized because they're the only one looking at it. When it's on the blockchain, it's decentralized. You're the only one that can change the records. You're the database administrator. You're the one in charge of your identity. And we spent 10 or 11 sessions just getting to this point, didn't we? I think.
Absolutely. In fact, I just talking to somebody 2 days ago, and if you talk about blockchain, so many are still like, "What's that?" But you mentioned Bitcoin. I go, "Oh, okay, now I know what it is." Let's just make it really simple for everyone that just may be watching. This is their very first session. Hopefully, as Sean should say, I would encourage everybody to go on a binge watching evening or two and watch all 10. To this point, they all run between 25 and 30 minutes. I mean, how many of us do binge watching on Netflix on all these series that are in 4, 5, 6 seasons? You know, this is not only entertaining, but is informative, and it's going to help you to have a much better life, have opportunities that you wouldn't have by just watching, something on Netflix, right? This is valuable here. And before I turn it back over to you, without the blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin would not exist. Let me repeat that. Without the blockchain technology, which is the foundation, right, there will be no cryptocurrency, no Bitcoin, etc., etc. I just wanted to say that.
No, 100%. So, the goal, there's a great article, and those of you who are out there, I highly recommend, if you get time, just type in the word blockchain ecosystem Forbes magazine, Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
A great article. It talks about the future state of using the blockchain in this business ecosystem rather than the current state, which is using cryptography with data spread across a blockchain to facilitate cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what now is being used now is the blockchain is using 1 megabyte cubes for the sole purpose of unlocking cryptography for transferring or purchasing or buying cryptocurrency that is based upon the concept of liquidity and scarcity. Mm-hmm. It's not based upon the concept of commerce. Like for those of you that studied economics and you understand that, income Y from a Keynesian perspective, or even from a supply side, is all about commerce and interest. It has nothing to do with liquidity and scarcity in the currency, although liquidity and scarcity in currency does have an impact. And that's why you see the Federal Reserve that is contracted by we the people to do the work through a law that was passed under Woodrow Wilson. They're not really they're not the national bank. They're just a group of 10 commercial banks that we've given a contract to charge us 3 cents for every dollar that's printed. But we then, our US Treasury then works with our outside contractors called the Federal Reserve to determine things like this, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. But what's happened in the current use of blockchain, this is a natural transition of tokenomics. In the blockchain, essentially what you're using is using those 1 megabyte carriers to really move transactions associated with buying, selling. And there's so much more that can be used. And today, with the past 11 sessions, we've really talked about in great detail the power of the human identity and commerce on the blockchain. Today, we're going to kind of talk about when you combine commerce with tokenization and cryptocurrency, it gets real interesting. I think that's the big distinction, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into that conversation of, again, I guess part of my role here is just to take all of this great information, and for the individual that is watching this for the first time, or all of this stuff is going over your head, let's break it down to a really, really elementary basis. What is a token as it relates to the blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, if ever been to the Texas State Fair or Florida Fair, any fairs, ever been to a fair mm-hmm. where you had to buy tickets, and those tickets then you weren't paying all these vendors cash, because the person who created the ecosystem called the state fair, in this case, it was from the state of whatever, Florida, Texas, New Jersey, whatever state you're in, they created a form of commerce in the form of tickets. So then you bought $100 worth of tickets, and those tickets can be redeemed if you want to throw a baseball at 3 jugs and to win a prize, or you can use those 3 tickets, or if maybe it costs 4 tickets to get on a particular ride. That was essentially, a ticket was an alternate representation of monetary value mm-hmm. in which you're able to engage in some kind of transaction. Those tickets were merely tokens. They were paper tokens.
Yes.
They were tokens. That's all it is. So what you have to figure out is, what are the total, now you start getting tokens, what are the tokenomics? How many tokens are going to be available to you? Because if there's scarcity in the total number of tickets available, then that means the tickets have more value as they start getting utilized. The more tickets that are used, the less tickets we have, right?
Now, this reminds me back. This reminds me back in the day, Sean, when I used to go to Disney World when I was a lot younger than I am right now, and you used to you didn't get. Nowadays, you buy the ticket and then you get in on all the rides, just depending on how many people are in line there. But you used to purchase a coupon package.
That's correct.
And the e-ticket was the one for the best rides, and those are the ones that you had the less of because you had the value. But then you had all the way through an coupon that got you maybe popcorn, But it was based on that. So this is very similar. These are tokens. You buy the little. The raffle tickets, or they look like raffle tickets. And so that's a good analogy you just said there.
Yeah, and tokens have been around. How many have heard the language? Wow, Pete, I really appreciate the fact you've been on this journey with me. Then I've got something here for you.
It's a token of my appreciation.
This is a token of my appreciation.
Yeah.
Right? Token of my appreciation. So if you understand that essentially all commerce is about barter. It's just that we've institutionalized barter from swapping a cow or swapping something else for something else. It's literally, here's a token. It's been tokenized in the form of silver, They could have been tokenized in the form of some places they're called chips. This is not anything new, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing this for a long time. So all we've done is we've created a digital token. And then you have tokens that are tradable. Those are called fungible tokens. And those fungible tokens can be backed by the concept of scarcity. There's only a limited number of those. In our instance, we back them by silver, because we think that when you're going to move something from the US dollar based or the euro based, whatever currency you're used to, the won or the yen or the British pound sterling, which I always love to say, British pound. Yes, British pound sterling, please. This just sounds good, doesn't it? Sterling. So when you start backing things by something tangible and you tokenize it, now all of a sudden, the idea behind this is I got a token. Well, now when I start to do commerce within a business blockchain ecosystem, as Forbes defines it, I can go into one ecosystem that may have a kind of coin or a kind of tokenization and have a universal utility token that says, hey, this is, you know what, my token is backed by silver. So it's not arbitrarily based on scarcity. It's based upon silver, and it makes sure that the vendors are secure in knowing the fact that if you cash in this token, it's secured by something safe.
Well, not only that,
and they
but
can take a chance whether they want to keep the current value of silver and monitor Forex and have it go up, or they want to get out immediately and get liquidity. But at least it's backed by something tangible.
Right. And it's not as vulnerable, correct? It's a lot more stabilized.
Well, it's stabilized. The other thing is, I think if you're going to bring people over to the blockchain and you're going to engage in digital currency, obviously referencing it back to the dollar is important. But when you start getting into the utility of using tokens like those tickets, you want to make sure that there's an additional layer of safety for people other than the concept of scarcity or liquidity that's currently in the token. So in our opinion, and I learned a long time ago, and my wife will probably punch me when she sees this, but opinions are like armpits. Like,
hopefully everybody has two.
Everybody has a couple, and they usually stink, right? So I'm going to throw my opinion into it. But I think the importance of giving consumer confidence is important in tokens. Now, those tokens are fungible. They're freely interchangeable, right? Through a swap program, there's programs out there called Pancake Swap and Uniswap. They're fully exchangeable, right? They're fungible. When you get into non-fungible tokens, though, that means that they're unique, right? We talked a little bit about this before.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden, if you can use something fungible to back something non-fungible, what's non-fungible? Well, when we get into non-fungible tokens, we talked last week about your buying decisions. They can become non-fungible if there's scarcity in when you're going to buy, because there's something unique about them, right? So a buying decision, as we talked about, if somebody wanted to, let's give an example. In a white paper I recently wrote, a non-fungible. There's someone wants to buy a 308 Ferrari Spider. That's about a $300,000 car. Now, if I were to go out and sell a lead because I somehow mined the internet, or I cold call people, hey, are you interested in a Ferrari? Yeah, I am. Well, now all of a sudden that you've got something interesting, because semantically you found someone that wants to buy a car. Thematically, they want to buy a Ferrari 308 Spider, which is the theme of the semantic decision. Temporally, they want to buy it in the next 90 days, and spatially, they want to do it in Miami, Florida. Well, that has unique value when you tie it to a decentralized ID, because now you can say, hey, I've got these number of people that have semantic, temporal, thematic, and spatial conditions around them, and they're non-fungible. Those conditions are non-fungible. Now, all of a sudden, that non-fungible token can be purchased by fungible tokens. You can now purchase, and now someone can come and say, well, I'll buy that non-fungible token based upon what you've demonstrated to me on their willingness to buy. Now, it's interesting, if you were to sell a Ferrari, it's interesting, I didn't know this, but you get 7% commission on the first 100,000, and you get 5% commission on the remaining amount. So for a Ferrari Spider, a commissionable event for someone selling a Ferrari is $17,000, right? Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden you can take a non-fungible token between $0 to $17,000 in value, depending upon the uniqueness of the temporal buying decision and the propensity to buy. Mm-hmm. So there's a classic example of something non-fungible. Now, notice we've kind of bumped it up from just squiggly little drawings and putting them on an NFT exchange, right? Or baseball cards, right? We've bumped it up a notch, right? We've actually made it something tangible where there's real cash and there's real value. Don't get me wrong, selling baseball cards. I've got a good friend named Todd Stottlemyre, amazing baseball player. He's got a great baseball card, but I would only buy a non-fungible token if it represented a real token. And then if I, went up to him and said, "Hey, Todd, please sign this for me," then it'd be really awesome, because then I could actually then go back to the NFT marketplace with something tangible. But too often things in the NFT space have been things like music, which they basically they cheat and put a little different certificate on it. Say, okay, it's unique, or some well-known marketing person draws a squiggly line and sells it for $16,000. Because someone's betting on the fact that someone else is going to see value. That's normal. We saw that in the .com boom. I mean, we saw we saw a pet company just called pet.com, and it soared and then crashed. But now when you start graduating to the big boy marketplace and you put your big boy pants on, now all of a sudden you're moving things that are non-fungible, that are truly non-fungible, not tradable, leveraging tradable things that are backed by silver.
Excuse me. The word, and you just mentioned it a couple minutes ago, that I think if you're going to have one word that explains the mindset or what's in the mind of everyone that is hearing about blockchain, obviously Bitcoin, whatever, and is starting to get interested in finding out more, doing their research, watching us on all of our sessions, the one word that everybody has in the back of their minds, and some of them front and center, and we've been, I think in just about every session we've talked about it, is the word safety. That is the one, I think, biggest fear everyone has, especially when you don't fully understand a topic or a subject matter. So your fear will hold you back because you want to be safe.
Exactly.
So we keep going back to the safety part, which I think a lot of us, that if we can go beyond that, okay, we're going to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. But as long as that concern or fear is there about, is this safe? Am I safe? I think we are debunking all of those preconceived ideas and explaining to everyone the fact that safety is at the highest. And it wraps around the whole technology here.
Yeah, safety first. I mean, that's a great concept, and I think the part that you've done a great job on doing is helping us stitch this together. When you think about what we're talking about, Pete, let me give you an example. Pre-COVID, there was about this amount of commerce happening on the web. A lot of people weren't sure about e-commerce.
Right.
They didn't feel safe. Mm-hmm. But through utilization, through remote work, now all of a sudden people are working from home. Nobody can get to stores. So now all of a sudden we're shopping online, and the stores, people masked up with triple face masks and everything else, because they haven't read anything about immunology, but evidently they felt safer. And they show up and they run to the front of your door and they put the thing down, they race back off their car in pure fear, which I used to pray for them. I felt so bad. They were so afraid because the information wasn't sound what they were getting. But the point of the matter was, we moved evidently from one fear to another fear, but we moved away from the fear of transacting online to the point that, did you know today that e-commerce, at COVID-19 drove e-commerce 10 times. It grew more, not 10 times. It grew more in the year of 2020 and 21 than it has in the past decade.
Oh, easily. And your numbers might be low.
Yeah. And so the fear of e-commerce is gone. But here's what's happening is, if you are comfortable with e-commerce, where it's all done on centralized databases, and 96% of companies using those centralized databases don't know your identity has been hacked, Imagine what your comfort is going to be to go into a blockchain ecosystem that where your data is infinitely more secure, and the back end is no longer a centralized database that can be hacked, and it's backed by a silver-backed transaction, and it's on a blockchain that's uses cryptography to protect your data, and it doesn't reside in a single company's location. It doesn't reside in a central location. So if you're comfortable doing e-commerce now on centralized databases where anybody, they're not immutable. In other words, someone can change a piece of data, take your data and sell it to somebody else, and go to an environment that's 1,000 times more secure to conduct e-commerce. Wow.
Absolutely.
That is the premise at which you should start looking at the blockchain. You've overcome the hurdle of conducting on a fairly centralized, not very secure e-commerce, and now you're going into a distributed, infinitely distributed e-commerce environment where it's backed by tokens that can be backed by silver and using real volumetric transactions rather than liquidity and scarcity. Now all of a sudden, wow, my transaction's backed by something real, not just not just my confidence in the dollar, but my confidence in something that's been tangible for thousands of years, because it's a token that represents value. And it may not be the e-ticket at Walt Disney World or the gray ticket that says ticket on it from the Texas State Fair. It's based on something that's trading currently right now in its relationship to gold with the greatest opportunity in 100 years. Now, all of a sudden, you start going, okay, well, I was already comfortable with e-commerce, but now I'm in an environment that's backed by silver in a distributed environment where my identity can't be revealed unless I give the permission for it. It's no longer just clicking on this privacy policy and they just go, ha, 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 welcome to our centralized database. No,
exactly. We're gonna protect your interest and your information. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sign my privacy policy.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, before we wrap up, which is season 1, we have today's session and 2 more to go. And as I mentioned to everyone in session 10, we will be starting a second season of Blockchain Talk in September, around the corner, and where we're going to be focusing on 11 key industry sectors that are using the blockchain and the potential of what can be done with the blockchain specific to those industry sectors, and by bringing in experts in those areas there. So I think that's going to be very, very exciting. Before all that happens, though, I think part of our job now is someone is watching this and is saying, okay, so where do I sign up? How do I get on the blockchain? What do I need to do? What are the steps involved? What should we tell them?
It's real simple. You go to crowdpointtech.com. You go to the top right where it says interact, and then just says join our cause, and go to join our cause and fill out that form.
It can't be any more simpler than that. It's right to the point.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy, my friend.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up on this one, and by the way, I'm sure the viewers have been watching you and then maybe taking a little peek at me and as I'm writing notes, and that's what I suggest to every single one of you watching these sessions and eventually obviously hearing them. We're on Spotify and YouTube and TuneIn Radio on the audio podcast side, is to take notes, get active in all of this. Sit back, obviously watch it. Maybe you watch it for the first time, but then watch it for the second time or the third time and take notes. And the more that you get involved in doing that, the more this information is going to be part of you, and the more you're going to be able to digest and understand better. So the more we watch, the more we do this, the more we're going to be able to take advantage of all of this.
100%.
So sneak preview, my friend, session 12. What do we have lined up?
Session 12, we're going to talk about the concept of stable coins. Now that we understand tokenization, we're going to talk about stable coins in session 12. And as we wrap that up, and then we get into each one of the industry sectors, in each industry sector, whether it's the energy sector, whether it's financials, utilities, consumer discretionary, consumer services, we're going to be showing you the dynamic relationships between a decentralized ID, things that are non-fungible, things that are fungible, and how that drives each one of the market sectors, to talk about how the market sector is defined and how you as a blockchain entrepreneur, you as a blockchain micropreneur, a micro entrepreneur, or a small business or a medium-sized business can participate in something that's going to be bigger than the dot-com boom, and you need to get in quickly. And all we're hoping for is you whether work with us, work with somebody, just get into the business. You're going to regret it if you don't. You're going to be sitting there going, man, I missed out on the dot-com boom and I missed out on the blockchain boom. Yeah, you just need to get in. With all the craziness going in the world and the ability to make sure your identity is protected and work in an environment where, you know, you're no longer relying on technical companies or technology companies that are super big to determine your destiny, and you get back into your own manifest destiny. I think that's going to be exciting.
My brother, phenomenal, phenomenal. Glad to see that you got your energy level back again. It's probably at a higher level right now, but it's good to see that you got out of the COVID thing, and God bless you, man.
Thanks so much.
This is fantastic, and thanks once again, buddy. We're going to do it again.
See you next week.
You got it, man. Take care of yourself.
All righty, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. A big thank you once again to Sean for more unbelievable, insightful information on the blockchain, specifically here on how to use tokens and coins on this incredible technology. Thank you for being with us every week and watching this program. And a big thank you to all of you that are writing to us and give us your comments and your feedback on what we're doing here. Please keep sending them in. It's helping us continue to shape future programming. We're on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on my YouTube channel and also on Facebook. And I'm also going to ask you, if you don't mind, to follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and if you got a moment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pete Delatorre. Thank you so much. Have a great week. God bless.